This episode is proudly brought to you by Optimum Financial Services Group. Optimum has the expertise to guide you through investment, tax, retirement, and estate planning, with a tailored solution to your individual needs. Our objective is to provide you with an optimum solution to protect your wealth. Optimum has expertise in medical aid, legal services, asset finance, and short-term insurance, as well as specialized services in commercial, marine, aviation, and personal liability. Don't choose the average, choose Optimum. Optimum Financial Services Group is an authorized financial services provider. Hello and good afternoon to you from a blustery secret location today. I've got a multi-continental guest. We are chatting from Africa and into the subcontinent of India at the same time. I'm very excited to bring you Simanta Mohanty, who is a human resources talent specialist with a deep and vast knowledge on both profit and non-profit. We're going to have a conversation about what is happening in that part of the world and what's happening with talent, what's happening with communication and fostering good teams. I'm excited for the show. Please take part, ask your questions, be a part of this. It's your show as much as it is mine. My name's Alex MacPhail. This is High Performance Teams. Hello, Simanta. Good day. How are you doing today?
Hi, Alex. Good evening from India, and not so secret location. I'm in the eastern part of India, in a place called Bhubaneswar, and good evening to you, to all your viewers, to that wonderful show you've got going on High Performance Teams. In fact, I have been reading up and watching a lot of high performance teams ideas after your posts on LinkedIn. So yeah, it's such a pleasure to join you over here.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you. We've been chatting back and forth with just keyboard typing for the last several months. Maybe it's about a year now, and it's been fun exchanging with you. You have quite a significant following on LinkedIn, and I see you've been there a long time too. But for those who are not familiar with your work yet, maybe we can just share a little bit about what is it that got you passionate about sharing your thoughts and your feelings with the world. It's something I've been dwelling on a lot recently. Is that there are many very talented people all around the world, but oftentimes people don't necessarily just get stuck in and share their message with others. But those who do end up becoming people that become more prominent and become almost sounding boards out there in the world, and places like LinkedIn, etc. What is it about what you do that makes you passionate that you would go the extra mile and share your thoughts and encourage others?
Oh, Alex, I am always surprised about how undervalued sharing actually is in communities, especially in professional communities. Either due to a misplaced sense of modesty, or somewhere a lack of confidence, people just don't come out and share the many things that they have got to, including a lot of professional accomplishments, a lot of ideas, a lot of thoughts that can boost others and bolster the confidence in others. So I all my life I have been natural at sharing things. It just comes naturally to me. I, like you said at the start of the show, I am a human resources professional based in India. I have worked in profit, non-profit, and even in the government of India. I've served in South Asia, India mainly, and I'm there have been a lot of learnings because I deal with human beings in my profession. There have been a lot of things that I talk about, I'm passionate about, and I love sharing. So that's just me. That's just the idea of sharing. LinkedIn has been kind. I don't know. Many people have been generous with me, and therefore I have some kind of a following on LinkedIn, and I love that forum. It's you cut the faff out. You don't talk personal issues. You talk professional ideas that can motivate others, and that's very nice. That's why I like LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But now, one thing that you said right there, your first part of your response was, I'm not sure if it's a misplaced sense of modesty. Maybe we can just zoom in there a little bit, because it is a. I mean, I find myself also, if you end up in the limelight, it's probably because you do enjoy it a little bit too. And maybe I do. Maybe I'm a closet theatrical performer. Maybe one day you'll see me on the stage doing other things, and I just enjoy the presentation side of things. But what do you mean by the sort of misplaced sense of modesty?
Hey, what I mean by that is, people think, will it be appropriate for me to showcase myself? The first
Hmm.
thing is, uh, will I be seen as, an arrogant show off?
Hmm.
And do I really want to be here? Do I really want to be seen so much? These are some of the thoughts, the questions that go through a lot of people's mind. And modesty is something which is valued highly in at least in Eastern cultures, that you should be a modest person, you
Hmm.
should be decent, you just don't talk about yourself, you don't talk about
Yeah.
your riches or your wealth. So it gets mixed up in a whole lot of cultural artifices that we have created in our head, and therefore people just don't come out and are not open about it. It's being open is a part of a cultural thing. It's highly cultural. So if
Hmm.
you're open about your professional things, you'll be open about your personal life as well, and that's very healthy. As most psychiatrists and psychologists will tell you, it's very healthy to be open to talk about what bothers you. There's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, our cultures, somewhere on the South Asian side, maybe, we value modesty more than anything else. And
Okay.
that I
Right.
think is
Well, I mean,
misplaced.
all right. I think there's a large part of me that would agree with you on that sentiment too. I can remember also getting sort of more public in the last 2 years or so. The first few cautious steps with presenting myself online, whether it was just a thought on LinkedIn or a video or whatever the medium was at the time, was my first thoughts were, what are my colleagues going to think if I'm talking something technical about an airplane, about an airline operations? Am I getting it exactly right? Maybe I should just do a bit more research before I post this thought. And you get lost in the idea that you only have about 200 words to share an idea. You can't get too detailed about what the hydraulic system of an Airbus can get to in 200 words. I mean, I've got a 2,000-page document, and I still don't get to grips with everything on the Airbus. So what am I going to share in 200 words that's going to make either me or the profession look like a fool? And so, you're very cautious to start that. But maybe let's dig in with some of the details that you got involved in. So profit and non-profit, I don't mind where you start, but certainly talent and fostering teams, that's your area of strength. So tell me about the climate today, or some examples of the past. What's happening in sort of mid or post-COVID India? What's going on right now? Economic fallout big?
Yeah, it's there's plenty going on, and the economic fallout is really big. But I just want to come to what you said about talking about the hydraulic system of an aircraft, and
Yeah.
your doubts about how to do that. You talk a lot about high performance teams, but I believe that it starts maybe with a high performance individual also. And and what I have seen is people who really perform, people who really go out on a limb to do things, are not bothered about failure, right?
Mm.
They, they just don't care whether they are seen as a failure or as a success. They're doing it because they love it, and I think
Yeah.
that guarantees their success as well as their team's success. Well, coming to that, the question that you asked about what's happening in India and how it's going at the moment, it's pretty torrid. India is a large country. It's fairly torrid at the moment. Cases are rising, and COVID is taking a toll, is taking a rather sad toll. Um, but one of the things India is doing now is, even if it has a lot many cases, it's opening up. It's setting
Okay.
the economy free. It's setting enterprise free. It is setting the people free that we have to live with the virus, and we'll beat the virus, right?
Mm.
I in fact had COVID about 2 weeks back, 3 weeks
And what was
back.
your experience for that?
So I'll
Was
tell you
it
about that.
okay?
So my experience was that luckily, by God's grace, it was a very mild case. I had just 2 days of fever, no other symptoms. And I
Okay.
tested positive, was put into home quarantine. None of your viewers are at risk, don't worry about that.
That's
So,
good.
I was put in home quarantine, and you know, every day I receive a call from the government sources, from the municipality, from
Okay.
the customer service side of the government. uh, they would call me up and ask me about my health. They would ask me whether there are any other symptoms that I'm seeing every day, and it's continuing. It has happened even today, almost uh, 25, 26 days since I, tested positive, and they're checking
Okay.
up every day. So,
That's
uh,
that's quite a commitment from a country with such a big population. Wow. I mean, to get phone calls for
absolutely,
20 days plus, that's amazing. It's a great system going
yes.
there.
Yeah, yeah. So it kind of bewilders me how they manage to do it in like you said, even in my country, even though I've lived in my country, but with so many cases, how do they manage to track everything? But they're doing it. That's number one. Number two is, you talked about high performance teams in context of the COVID crisis.
Hmm.
This is what the kind of performance looks like. They're tracking you. The moment you tell them that, see, I have symptoms or I have problems, they direct you, and the people arrive at your doorstep. The government authorities, they arrive at your doorstep and to check you
Wow.
up, and to maybe recommend you to a hospital. In my case, they said you should be in home isolation, and that's where you should be. People who require hospitalization, they take them to hospital straight away. So that's the way it is going. I think what India has done, is it has cracked the code of tracking the virus, and so therefore feels more confident about opening up the country, and
Okay.
and and opening up for business. So that, I think, is happening in India at the moment. Uh, uh, I was just checking up the numbers. We have about 3.8 million, uh, virus infections in this country at the moment.
Okay.
That's
That's
com-
quite a
that's compared to 628,000 in South Africa.
mm,
So it's almost 7-8 times the number.
mm. Yeah, and you've also got quite densely populated areas too. So, like in your case, did you pick it up from? Are you working from home right now, or would you have gone into the office, or you pick it up in your community, or you don't really know?
No, I can't really say. We take
Okay.
all kinds of precautions. We wear the masks. We ensure that sanitizers are everywhere. But yes,
Mm.
I do go to office, and
Okay.
I do meet people over there. I did occasionally go to a shop, but always took care that I shouldn't be in a very crowded area. Right? My
Yeah.
mask was
Sure.
always on, and all the the sanitizing was done. But Alex, with this virus, you can never really tell. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's an animal we don't understand very well. You know,
Sure.
nowhere in the world do scientists or doctors understand it very well. So, uh, how it spreads, what will happen, what will be the next move, you never really know. You just have to ensure that you are safe, you are healthy, you try and take all the precautions. That's all we can do with regard to this virus.
Mm. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Well, so we understand. I think most of the people online have heard to the nth degree about COVID, etc. I'm glad that you've recovered and you are healthy once more. But let's
Thank
move on
you.
to the topic of high performance in human resources and talent management and communication. So you've established yourself as an authority in managing teams and managing talent and human resources from a communication standpoint. Tell me how this last sort of few weeks and months has gone. I mean, I've seen what's happened in South Africa. The economy has just about come to a standstill, and we're only recently opening up now. So what we're seeing currently from a human resources, human capital point of view is that there's a lot of really talented people out there who are now no longer employed, have great skills, great experience, great education, looking for an opportunity, and they're ready to dive into anything they can sink their teeth in, knowing that whatever opportunities out there, they'll give it a good go. Are you seeing a similar kind of thing? Are people reaching out to you?
Oh yes, all the time, and it's very heartbreaking. Um, this is not something that we anticipated or we wanted ever to happen.
Sure.
We had not really, nobody had prepared for it. When I look back to the number of times I've flown Emirates and gone abroad, and to see Emirates in trouble, is something that breaks one's heart. It's as if something you're close to in trouble. I have seen a lot of people from Emirates and other airlines saying that cabin crew and others saying that we are out now. It's that is the worst part about this crisis. Nobody had anticipated it. Nobody saw this coming.
Yeah.
And so human resources and other teams all over the country, at least in India, have recovered from that initial shock which lasted about 2 months, which is April and May. We have recovered from the initial shock, and they have started planning for the next steps, for the next stages. And the next stages look like this. We know there will be a large degree of working from home. People are going to be at home and working from home. There will be lesser requirement of people for assignments, so layoffs are bound to happen. But one of the key things is people are looking ahead. They know the misery that is happening. People are looking ahead to see where the next jobs are going to be, and how do we get people into those jobs that will emerge, say, around January. And the fourth thing I've seen is the optimism in the corporate sector, at least in India, that this will blow over. The worst will go. Uh, don't worry about it. We cannot be in this kind of a limbo because right now our spirits are uh, down, but the animal spirits are still there, and we will bounce back. So that kind of a scenario planning is happening. We're planning for the worst at the moment, uh, with the worst kind of situation, but we are preparing also for a time when suddenly, the boom might come, and you might require people, you might require a lot of logistics and other arrangements, and we have to get that going as well. So the planning is intensely in place at the moment.
Okay.
Did
Well,
I
I mean,
lose you for a while? Did you?
no.
No.
I'm here. I'm listening. So what I see is that this sort of certainly in the South African context, and I'm sure it's pretty much the same all around the world. This availability of talent and people that are keen to work, but on the top of that, you're getting a highly skilled person, but suddenly they'll just get involved in new industries and bring a wealth of knowledge. So one of the areas I'm seeing quite a strong opportunity for is that people in the travel industry, not necessarily pilots or hotels, but people that worked in the conferencing, not the conference, the bookings of the travel industry, the typical travel agents, flight center, those kind of staff. I must just be connected to a lot of them right now in my network, but certainly they are hardworking, driven people who just the opportunities have dried up, and they're available, and they're willing to just put their shoulder down and work hard. And this availability of keen, hardworking people is it's maybe almost unprecedented to just have this pool of people you could just choose from, almost hand select the best. Is that a similar thing that you're seeing there, that you can get hold of somebody now to fill a role that previously was either unavailable or too expensive or would not be interested?
Yes, it's there. The availability of talent because of the number of layoffs. In fact, India lost how many jobs? I think it said 11 crores. What is that? 110 million.
In this last
110
time,
million
110 million.
jobs.
Now, in this few
110
months.
million jobs in India. No,
Yo.
in the past 3 months, past three,
Wow.
4 months, 110 million jobs have been lost in India. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the kind of pool that you have available. And you know, Indians, if I may say, at the risk of sounding boastful, Indians are known to be intelligent, hardworking. You know,
Sure.
they're there all over the world. You know,
Sure.
people like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai in Google are our flag bearers.
Yes.
Uh, so that's the kind of pool you have available now, Alex.
Mm.
Um, Taking them in, some hiring is happening, and I keep on getting news of that, but it's not very significant at the moment, and the pain is likely to continue. What we anticipate for the next 3 months or so. So the current effort that is on is to counsel this group about how to handle, their layoff period. If they are reaching out the offices and other staff, the effort is to guide them on to the next job and the next position somewhere down the line. Not too many alternate areas are on offer. In a country as diffuse, in an economy as diffuse as India's. In South Africa, it might be a little easier because it's a smaller country,
Mm.
tighter networks,
Yeah.
so that it works better over there.
Yeah.
India, I don't see that trend of them buying them cheap because of their troubles. That's not happening, but certainly there is a lot of sympathy and there's a lot of empathy for these people
Mm.
from the HR side, from the team building side.
And tell me, currently, are you more involved in a normal for-profit business, or are you still involved in non-profit right now?
Well, I am actually now involved in the academia, in a university. We are setting
Okay.
up a school, a public policy school, and so the university tapped into my human resources capabilities and said, "Would you come and set up a department for us?" And I said, "Gladly." That's another area that I would love to work in. So that's what I have been doing. And it's a private university, so you could say it's a for-profit area, but it's academia.
Sure.
It's not the kind of buying and selling that you do in the normal for-profit sector. So,
Okay.
Alex, I have something to ask you as well.
Please, yeah. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. Yes, and you know, uh, I have seen a lot of your videos. You remember the one in which you took us through an empty Airbus flying?
Yes,
Yeah,
there was
you
about
rode
6 months
through.
ago. No, more than about a
Yeah,
year ago. Yes, I remember. Yeah, that was when we brought
but
back an airplane that was stricken in Europe for a couple of weeks, and then because it
that's
was an unscheduled flight, we had to bring it home empty, because you can't just put passengers on a plane just because there's a plane there. There has to be rules that are followed on government agreements, international trade, etc. Yes, ask your question.
so. I wanted to ask you we'll play a small game. Uh,
I like
in
games.
the in the context of high performance teams, I just wanted to pick your brain. I'll give you a
Cool.
set of two words.
Hmm.
Two words. I want you to pick one as the essential quality of a high performance team. Let's see this. Okay.
All right.
For example, I ask you, um, between creativity and passion, which is more important for a high performance team. So it's like that.
Okay. Is this the first one, or was that just an example?
No, that was just an example.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. You got me thinking already.
So let's see this. Okay, the first set of two words, and you got to pick one for me.
Yeah.
Purpose, and agility.
Is this a rapid fire type of thing, or you want to take me? Must I?
Yeah,
Must I
yeah.
ponder
Don't.
this?
Yeah, it's rapid fire. Don't take too
Rapid
much
fire.
time.
Okay. Purpose or agility? Agility.
Okay. People orientation, goal orientation. People orientation,
People.
goal orientation.
People.
Okay.
This is the views of the presenter are expressly his own and do not represent the views of high performance teams, LinkedIn or YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. So technology or emotion.
Technology.
Okay. Preparation or the ability to handle complexity as it emerges.
Complexity.
Okay. And then last one, the regular downtime or regular training.
Regular downtime.
Regular downtime.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So
Now I try to ask myself
Yeah.
in the context of high performance teams, but my sort of natural animal instincts kept on blocking me, and I just answered from the gut. So let's hear what do you read into that?
So agility, people orientation. You picked agility, you picked people orientation, you picked technology, the ability to handle complexity and regular downtime. For you, Alex, excepting for one in which you pick technology, you basically are somebody who's extremely people driven as far as high performance teams are concerned, right? You do not believe that mechanical skills, lot of preparation, lot of thought, lot of things are going to work. If it's going to be a high performance teams, then people have to gel together and make it work.
Yeah,
that's
a good summary.
Yeah, that's a point of view. Excepting for technology, where which you picked over emotions, where I think that's the pilot. That's the technically trained pilot, who surfaced for a while.
I think so. It was
Yeah.
a bit of a tricky one, that emotion, because my immediate thoughts go to, do I let rational thought take over? I try and have rational thought over emotional thought, a rational response over emotional response, and therefore I see emotion almost as a negative. So therefore I lean towards technology. So it wasn't like technology was the pull; it was that emotion was the push. That was the rationale for that. But for the viewers who are still listening, please ask your questions, share your inputs on what you've heard so far. I'll be curious to hear. I see Kubis has joined us, I think, a few minutes ago, and he said, I think earlier the conversation was about the teams, and when we were posting stuff about it, confidence is important. So thanks for that, Kubis. But yes, just to get back to that, so emotion was really something I was a bit wary of, rather than technology being something I'm proud of.
And not very surprising. Emotion is something that many very strong professionals are wary about. That's the way you're conditioned at your workplace. Also, you're conditioned, to maintain a strict discipline. Not to let your emotions interfere. In fact, in several airlines, I have seen the sticker on the cockpit door, which says, flying is a very serious business. Leave your problems over here.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
Did you get that? So because so that's how we are trained. We are trained to put our emotions on the back burner against things. So that it doesn't surprise me. It's a lot of people feel that way. Whereas because our workplaces are where we spend the best of our time, best of the time in the day, it's good to be emotionally open in workplaces. Technology is a given; it's there. But if you make technology, and I'm not judging you, I'm not judging, or I'm not criticizing. If you make technology the centerpiece, then you do it at the cost of emotion.
Sure. Yeah. So why is technology and emotion the two choices in that question? Where did you get the questions from, and what is the background to that particular question?
It's my questionnaire.
Okay.
I do a lot of I do. In fact, I'm running a poll at the moment on LinkedIn also.
I saw it. Yeah.
And I want you to tell me whether you thought my summary of you was an adequate one, or captured
Yeah,
the
I think it was very
essence.
good. I mean, to ask me 5 questions and get an accurate point of view of where I stand or where you think I stand, that's quite good. I'm just curious as to why emotion was the opposite, not the opposite, but between the choices, emotion and technology. To me, it's almost like, well, do you prefer a sunny day or reading a book? One's an outside event, and one, that it's not like blue or red or hot or cold. It's hot or hard, or it's you know what I mean. They don't seem to be logically on the same seesaw. Well, how did you come up with that?
So if I were to, make a straightforward questionnaire, I would not be doing justice to what I wanted to capture. It's
Okay.
not nothing about this is really straightforward. For example, purpose and agility. That was the first one I asked you.
Yes.
Um,
Also interesting
I
because you think about teams and you think about, well, we all got to bond together to be able to get something. And what is that something? That's the purpose of us being together. But
exactly.
throughout my life in various things, I see a lot of value in being able to tackle trouble that comes your way. Because ultimately, some people are thorough planners and some people are less thorough planners. But either way, both the people who are thorough and people who aren't thorough will both end up with complexity in front of them at some point. No matter how well you plan, the complexity comes. And if you can handle the complexity well, then you can deal with a poorly laid plan. If you're very good at planning, but you can't deal with complexity, when things start going badly, then the whole thing falls over. And like back to the flight deck, you're flying a very complex airliner, and things can go wrong. And because so many things are integrated, lots can go wrong. You can't possibly know how everything works on an airplane. So a modern airliner like an Airbus has over 4,000 things that could go wrong with it. So you need to learn a tool with dealing with the things that go wrong. And therefore, the person who's best able to deal with the complexity will best manage in a complex system, like a human
See, it
being,
comes
a
in.
complex system.
Yeah. No, you picked agility in the first one, then you picked ability to handle complexity versus preparation, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and remember, you had given us a video once in which you talked about how high performance teams actually prepare. I think that was you preparing to fly from South Africa to New York, and the preparation bit you dealt with in that video. I remember that. So I'm not surprised that you picked agility, then you picked ability to handle complexity. There's a lot of consistency in your responses, which shows the snapshot that I created, where for you high performance teams is high performance people, how they gel
Yeah.
together, how they bond, and how they work, which is perfect. That's fine.
So
So
sorry, carry on. Yeah. So you were going to ask me some more questions. I like this game.
I have another game for you.
Cool. Turning the mic on me. Great.
I have another game. So no, this time it's a far simpler game. I wanted to ask you to give me one characteristic that you think is important for a high performance team in different areas. One characteristic only, and it has to be different. You can't say,
Okay.
oh, it's the same. No. So, shall we start?
Yeah. Let's go. I'm ready.
Okay. Now, one characteristic of a high performance team in the A380 cockpit.
Okay.
The top one, the first important one.
One characteristic in a modern Airbus A380 cockpit. Well, okay, so I'm going to give you a politician answer here. In the scenario where everything's running smoothly, you need to run your systems well. But things can go badly, and then you're in the non-normal and they're not running smoothly. Then you best be able to communicate well. But in both places, you have to communicate well. So I'm going to say
Okay.
communication. Communication.
You say communication. Excellent. That's wonderful. Now tell me, you had Depenar, you interviewed Depenar, Boita Depenar sometime back on
You,
your
you
show. Uh,
you really have followed a lot of
uh,
my
so
videos,
so one,
Simanta.
I do a very engaging one. So one characteristic in the South African cricket team.
Hmm. Oh, you're saying what's my characteristic for the South African cricket team?
No, yeah. As for the South African cricket team, which is also a high performance team, they have to be performing high, at their
Okay.
peak all the time. So one characteristic, not communication. You can't say
Yeah,
communication.
can't say that again. And this is what I would want them to have, or what I see that they do have.
They do have.
They do have. Okay.
Yeah.
High performance team, South African cricket team. Not communication now. Okay, so now let's find something else. Interesting. Cricket. So cricket, I immediately think long and slow and mental toughness and working together. There's teamwork. There's I think no cricket. Cricket always makes you think of you got to have endurance. You got to have longevity. It's not like a game of squash and it's over, or water polo and it's quick, 5 minute. It's at least 5 or 7 hours. It could be 5 days. So I would say endurance.
Fine. That's great. That's great. Now, so one characteristic of a high performance team, let's say of an entire group, say the De Beers group, the diamond producers,
Yeah.
right? The De Beers. Whatever you know of them, like I know of the companies also, and I can say that. So, what do you think is one characteristic in the De Beers group?
Wow, haven't really thought about the De Beers group much, but I know they're into diamonds, and it's a big international, high value. They're creating a very strong brand in diamonds. So what do they have to do? They have to have. The respect. Why would a customer buy a diamond? We can just equate De Beers Group equals diamond. So why would somebody want to buy a diamond? Why would somebody? So they have to be seen as people of value or substance. So what's a good word for that? Can't think. An outfit, an organization of substance. Help me out here. What's a better way of putting that in succinctly?
I'm not helping you out. I asked you questions. I'm not helping you out. You put it in words. I can put
I see Kevin is helping me out here. Thank you for joining. Kevin says specialization. So specialization is a good one. Let's use Kevin's one there. Specialization.
Specialization. Wonderful.
Thanks, Kevin. It's like phone a friend, and he's phoned and he's come in. And Craig's joining us too, and he's saying, "I'm enjoying the intellectual interrogation of Alex. It's very engaging." Thanks, Craig. Thanks for joining us. Okay.
If I knew that your friends are going to enjoy this, I would have put in a lot more of this. Right. So and tougher ones, I'm actually being gentle with you. Now,
that's good.
In South African Airways, what's the characteristic? I'm not talking just the flying. South African.
The company. Yeah, it's a very difficult one. This is really putting me in the hot seat now. South African Airways is really, really in a difficult spot now, like in the corner, on the ropes. It's far, far in the corner. But there's a band of brothers there, and I say brothers loosely. It's a family that has, long, deep history. I think if it's not the second oldest, it's the top 10 oldest airline in the world. It has a rich history. You've got third, fourth generation kids that father and grandfather flew for it. So when I think of South African Airways, I think of a family. I think of a brotherhood. Closer than friends, closer than colleagues. Why are they so high performing? They're there for each other. Dependability. I think let's use that word. Dependability.
Excellent.
I'm very fond of South African Airways, by the way, in case it wasn't clear.
No, you have made that abundantly clear a number of times. Now tell me, I want you to think of the characteristic of a high performance teams in a non-profit. Think of a non-profit. Do you know
Charity Water? Charity Water, without question. Scott Harrison is doing amazing things.
Absolutely. So yeah, the charity water, and for also water.org, which is Matt Damon, the Hollywood actors.
Okay, I'm
There are a
not
number
familiar
of
with him.
them.
I'll look it up. Okay, good.
You also have the headquarters of a global charity in Johannesburg in South Africa. That's ActionAid, in case you haven't heard of it.
Okay,
ActionAid is there also. Their global headquarters, they shifted from London to Johannesburg because they wanted to be in the south rather than in the north.
okay.
So think of one characteristic, one high performance characteristic in a non-profit. Think and tell me about it. What would it be?
Okay. Okay, so now I'm thinking I need to do this more often. I'm thinking aloud, yeah. And as I think, my first thoughts go to Scott Harrison. Been following him for many years. Read his book, follow the stuff. It's a great, and I picture this drill going into the Sahara Desert and drilling, and eventually, through all the setbacks and failures, they burst through, and the water comes spewing out into the air. He's got this massive benefit pool in New York City, which is paying for it, all the A-listers. The community gets water. The A-listers are paying it. Everyone feels good, and there's success, and they want to provide fresh water to the whole world, and they're doing it one oil well at a time throughout North Africa. So in all that, I think there's complexity, there's teamwork, there's struggle, there's setback, they're trying to make charity and non-profit almost sexy, for lack of a better word, a Steve Jobs-esque of charities. So to tie all that into a characteristic, what is that? It is the overriding thing that stands out for me is the passion of Scott Harrison, and because of his passion and his public persona, he's able to generate this energy, which gets people on board, which gets people water. So I'd say passion.
Passion. Excellent. So yeah, these are the five that I wanted to ask you on. So let me pick on all the characteristics that you have chosen.
Okay.
A380 Cockpit, you said communication.
Mm-hmm.
South African cricket team, you said endurance. De Beers Group, specialization.
Mm-hmm.
Then South African Airways, dependability.
Yep.
And in an NGO, and that I think is the most accurate thing, passion, because these are not very paying jobs. In fact, NGOs make you spend a lot of money, and you've got to do it in a good cause, and people work for them because they're very passionate about that cause. One of the things that you described, which came very close to what I think about NGOs, is resilience. When you talked about Scott Harrison going there and making the water come out, non-profits come up with defeat after defeat. They come up with a lot of obstacles, and yet they persist, and so resilience is very much there. Now tell me, communication, endurance, specialization, dependability, passion. When you talked about the De Beers Group, Alex, let me tell you what you were coming to. You were helped out with specialization, but you were coming to that. You were coming to that image and the kind of persona they have created for themselves in the public mind, right? Why would somebody want to buy a diamond?
Yes.
Right? And which are frightfully expensive in any case. But De Beers makes it seem like your life is incomplete if you don't have a diamond. So I think one of the great things, since you talked about communication in the context of my career, is the branding. And a good team often creates its own brand image, apart from creating the culture also, creates its own brand image. A good organization creates a brand image. And that branding is, while it's branding, it's in the posters and pictures and TV adverts and all that. Let me tell you, I have seen in my life, branding is almost as tangible as hard cash in a bank account.
I would agree with that. I would agree completely, yes.
And the kind of brand that you create, the kind of talk that happens when people come across, say, Alex McPhail. When they see Alex McPhail, the kind of image that comes to mind is as powerful as anything that Alex has done. And it stems from what Alex has done. So a good high performing team uh, is very generous with the way it builds its brand. And that's where I thought I was very interested in the way you did the projections. You did your videos and all that. And I say, if you can't communicate, if you can't create this image of yourself, that somebody sitting in India wants to join you in a conversation, wants to talk to Alex, and if you don't create that branding, it doesn't really work.
So you say the branding has worked so far. So far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, so personal branding is something everybody talks about quite a lot. So
yeah,
you do that. Great. So that's something I
agree, and I think that also ties back to that first point that we spoke at the top of the show: this misplaced sense of modesty. People like to be recognized for what they do and what they're good at and their skills and their value in the organization. And whether you talk about what you do or whether someone else talks about what you do in terms of a compliment or praise, people like to be recognized. And so maybe it goes to this idea of selling. You need to sell yourself in as much as you could be a salesman and sell a product online. You phone someone, you try and sell it. Or you make yourself the product and you try and sell it. You just got to be careful with the area of, are you overselling, or are you being a bit cocky, or a bit arrogant, because that's the fine line that you need to try and navigate. And you will overstep it sometimes, and you'll go too far. But I also strongly believe in this idea of personal branding. And if you build a bit of a brand around one consistent, or maybe one or two or three consistent themes, and you just keep on giving, then at some point you will maybe start harnessing the fruits of that effort, and the branding will come together, and people will start associating one with the other. As you mentioned, De Beers, it becomes this idea of life is not possible if you do not have a diamond. And we don't see ourselves as individuals creating a brand that people would associate with. It's not possible to not have a conversation with. But certainly, if you were to see Brad Pitt walking down the street, you would maybe think, I wonder if I could have a quick conversation with him, because there's something desirable about a personal brand.
Yeah, that's something the superstars know with certainty, that they are as good as their brand, or their brand is as physical as possibly they are, which is the truth.
Yes.
We maybe see the brand as an image or something, but it's actually so tangible and so physical that it brings them money.
Yes.
They harness their brand to create all the wealth that they do in due course. So it's like I said, it's part of the culture. In some cultures across the world, it's more evolved. In the Americas, it goes without saying. They love their branding. They love individual branding. All of these, for example, you speak of LinkedIn or you speak of Twitter and all that. They have all come from the US after all. So that's the great value of that culture. They know the value of personal brand and broadcasting your ideas as much as possible.
Well, speaking of broadcast, I'm going to interrupt you for a moment there. So, the combination of branding and broadcasting, if you look at someone like Joe Rogan, and we with other previous guests, we've spoken about Joe Rogan before. I can't remember the exact figure, but somewhere in the order of $200 million, he sold his show to, I think it's Spotify now has it. And this was somebody who had a bit of branding, because he was a stand-up comedian. He'd been on a few TV shows, but just went out there and did his thing and started a podcast and a YouTube channel together, and just did what he wanted to do. He broadcasted, and there was no rules, there was no script. There was just sit down and talk and seemingly have fun. And 10 years down the line, $200 million business by personal branding.
Absolutely. Get comfortable in your skin. It applies for individuals as well as for teams. Get comfortable in your skin. Believe in what you do. Just don't bother about how you fail. If you're failing, just do it very quickly. Fail very quickly, learn very quickly, and start doing that again. Very quickly. Don't spend too much time thinking about failure. So if you're comfortable, like I said, in your skin. If you believe in what you do, it's only a matter of time, for it to bear the fruits that it does.
And
And
some of the specific questions you asked about, you said the one word characteristic of South African Airways. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on my other answers. You mentioned De Beers.
yeah, let me get that. I was actually moving on to something else. Okay, South African, for about South African Airways, you pick dependability.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. That's a lot of emotion, heart connect with that airline. So
Yeah.
dependability coming out is natural. An NGO, the passion, absolutely, correct. NGOs are driven by passion. South African cricket team, you pick endurance,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I just can't think of a better word for a cricket team. I like, we follow the Indian cricket team, in Indian cricket team also with a lot of passion. And
Mm-hmm.
yes, we may think about talent, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to when cricket team, usually you think of talent. You think of somebody like AB de Villiers, you think of Faf du Plessis, and you say, oh
Session.
my
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
Sachin, of course, Sachin, Virat, and you say, my God, what talent! But endurance, talent. There's I have a favorite author who writes horror stories. That's Stephen
Okay.
King. In case you've heard of Stephen King. So
Yeah.
Stephen King says talent is as common as table salt, right? Talent is as common as table salt. It's
Yeah.
hard work. It's hard work that counts. If you're
Okay.
not, grinding down that talent into work every day and every waking hour, it's not going to be worth it. Talent is, like I said, as common as common as table salt. So,
Mm.
but the most successful cricketers are actually very hardworking ones. They are the ones who
Mm.
have not relied on their talent only. They have the talent, they know that, but they also practice a lot. They go out there. When somebody like AB de Villiers, for example, steps onto the field, and he's now as much a part of India as of maybe South Africa. So when somebody like AB de Villiers steps onto the field, this man strikes the fear of the Lord into the heart of the opponents.
Yeah.
They know, he's going to make life miserable. That's the best part about cricketers. So the endurance bit was beautiful. Specialization, I thought you were moving on to branding and the image, but I'm glad you picked specialization. No issues with that. And then passion in an NGO, communication in the cockpit. I just love it. I see the value of communication, branding, uh, putting people together, and that comes out a lot in your presentations as well as in the responses that you have.
Well, I think back to the flight deck, and it is one of these scenarios where I make quite a distinction in some of the public speaking and the motivational talks that I do. Is we talk about you've got standard operating procedures in a flight deck. Things going well, this is how the system runs. Things not going so well, you change off the standard operating procedures to another set of procedures that are maybe just as rigid, but they're different. So what would be you're going from A to B and everything's working well, you now hop onto non-normal, and that's got a whole new set of rules of dealing with things, and it changes both who is flying, who is talking, the areas of responsibility, members are aware of them, and you're also aware of when you are on the non-normal and when you go back. So you can't just just stay on non-normal. You have to fly along, something goes wrong, hop to non-normal, try and sort it out, fix it. If it's a tech problem that you can sort and get back onto normal situation, then you almost isolate it, finish it, complete it, close off the loop, and then get back onto normal. So to understand where we are in the picture, that's where the communication comes in quite strongly. And I think also to just build a picture of where you are, because we spoke earlier about complexity and the amount of things that could go wrong in a modern airliner. It's similar to the operating theater. I mean, another great Indian descendant is Atul Gawanda. Have you read his book, The Checklist Manifesto? Have you seen his TED Talks? Oh, it's Probably one of my most
I
recommended books.
absolutely. I know I haven't read his books, but I have, read his articles and his views and all that quite a lot. Yes.
Oh, so
Tremendous
yeah,
influence on public health. Yeah.
yes, amazing. And then also, he talks about these complexities in medicine, and he went around the world and they developed the checklist for medicine. And I've been involved with some doctors and anesthetists and operating theatre staff to just see what goes on and how we can bring in some tools from aviation to assist in operating theatre. But he talks about this complexity, and there's over 4,000 procedures you can have done on the human body, and similar in a cockpit, 4,000 procedures. So when you get to those sort of levels, you have to manage the system of how to deal with complexity. You can't learn everything. So that's where communication comes in, is that you can share your thinking. So I could sit here and say, well, I haven't seen a cracked window before, but I have experienced something similar, and this is how it played out for me. And just by having that one or two sentences with the other crew member, the other person could say, well, I've seen this before, and this is how it played out. And then you can build on a bit of a knowledge base there, just in the moment, real time, couple of minutes. And that communication allows both crew members to see where you're thinking. Are you thinking along the lines of, this is a stricken airplane? Are you thinking along the lines that we can fix this and carry on? Are you thinking along the lines of, we need to land as soon as we can, or not such a big deal if we get somewhere in the next 4 hours? It just really opens up that channel. And so, complex modern airliner requires good communication in good times and in bad. Things going well, things not going well.
So let me tell you, it's not just complex airliners. I think good communication is required, even in a family, in
Sure.
any organization, in any work that you do, and and it's just as important as it is in a high complex environment like you have in airlines. It's just that we are not paying adequate attention to the field of communication and human communication and human interactions as we should.
I suppose there's something there that we kind of work towards, is that when I go to work as an airline pilot, I know that I've got a set of rules. I've got rule books like this, and I've got procedures, and I've got checklists, and I've got SOPs. I've got all things that back me up.
Yeah.
When you're at home, you can just kind of take the pressure off, and you don't have rules, which is what you don't want rules, but you don't have rules. You don't have systems in place, so it's easier.
Yes, that's part for the course. That's exactly what it's supposed to be. At home, you can't, read out from a checklist to your wife and say, this is what I'm going to do. No, we have been socialized into a certain area, way of communicating at home. That's fine, but the communication has to happen. So, Alex, I see that we have run out of time. It's already 1 hour on the show. Sure. Would you like to end this with a final question from me to you?
Yes, why not? Let's do it that way around for a change. We're going to have giving you the last question today. Simanta, go ahead.
Yeah. So the last question is, this new normal that we are going through, which you are going through, which all of us are going through all over the world. Does it appeal to you, or are you looking back to getting back to the old normal?
For me, no. It's there's a lot that appeals to me. I don't spend 2 nights a week staying awake in an airplane that's buzzing in the darkness throughout the night. So I'm at home every day with my family. That's very nice. The opportunity to work from remote, secret locations. I'm sitting in the Eastern Cape right now, and 1,000 kilometers from home, and I can still work. That's appealing to me now. Having lunch with my family most days, if not every day, is appealing to me right now. Being able to connect. I gave one of these talks to a crowd that's based in the US. They had staff checking in from France, from Bulgaria, from Vietnam, from Malaysia, all checked in on the same conference call on Friday afternoon. That was very nice. So the new normal in a lot of ways can stay for me. I'm happy with it. What I do and will miss is the sort of sense of adventure of getting on a plane, and tomorrow morning I'm in Munich and I can have a Schweinehaxe in Munich, or I can end up in New York City in a couple of days' time and I can see the Big Apple. Those things will definitely miss because of the sense of adventure and travel. But this new normal is going to be around a while for me. Just got to fit in some flying somewhere too. How about you? How does your new normal? Are you enjoying your new normal?
Yeah, I mean, whether I like it or not, it's here. Like you said, it's here. It's going to stay for a while, and the best thing is to adapt to it and help others cope with it, which is what a human resources professional is supposed to do. And I'm doing that, and for the moment, it's working fine. Um, uh, you know, you can't step into the same river twice, Alex. So it's gone, and let's welcome whatever is going to come, ahead, and embrace it and take it with us wherever.
Well, that's a great place to leave it. Thank you so much for your time, Simanta. It was wonderful chatting. It was very interesting having your games, your quizzes, and the listeners seem to have enjoyed it too. It was a real food for thought. Thank you for that. And we will continue to communicate via the LinkedIn channel. All the best to you and your family.
Thank you so much to you too and your family. It was such a pleasure joining you over here. I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thanks, Simanta. Well, folks, it's been an interesting chat. It's been intellectually stimulating. It's been fun. And thank you for your participation too. I hope you all stay safe. Until next time, please join us again. 1 week to go.